Yeah, got rid of that.
How's everybody doing? Well, I have to apologize for the mix-up on the venue here. We wanted to show, Harlan and I are going to go through the presentation. How many of you have been to the seminars that have already been conducted here this weekend? Oh, okay, so we're done. So you got a lot of the detail, and so Harlan and I are going to give you a lot of the overview and maybe some of the background stuff that you didn't see. So we're going to give you some of the content that we originally delivered to the media as we introduced the car, and answer any specific background questions that you have. We'll say we wanted to do it in here today for this crowd because of the size of the screen. I don't know if you noticed in the other room, very small screen. We've got some videos and things we wanted to show you, so wanted to make sure everybody got that today. So we're basically doing the same presentation today and tomorrow. So if you come tomorrow, there may be less visibility of the screen, maybe more time for Q&A and things like that, and talk about anything you want to talk about, any kind of background information on the launch or the reveal or anything. How many people were actually at the reveal up in Detroit? Okay, so a fair number of you actually saw that live and got to participate in a little bit of history. So we're going to start, as we always do, by recognizing the people who are here. I don't think we've ever had this many people supporting this event before. We usually do have quite a lot of people. This is the Michigan crew. So we design the car in Michigan, build it in Kentucky, and then race and sell it all around the world. But this is just a tiny fraction. There's probably 1,000 people, maybe more than 1,000 people hard at work right now getting the Stingray ready for start of production. You've got this many people actually down here attending the event, giving seminars, interacting, and quite a few of them actually for the first time. Next slide. And then of course, locally here at Bowling Green, you've got people extremely hard at work. We just did the plant changeover in March, so the general assembly area of the plant is now completely redone, prepped for building the Stingray. The very first cars using the real manufacturing process are going down the line right now. The cars we've shown you previously, those are hoist-built cars. We had our body shop up and running, but we basically built those cars by hand on a hoist right in the Bowling Green assembly plant, but not down the line. So now we have the full line installed. We're running the first batch of cars. They're still non-saleable cars. These are cars that are going to be used for test, eventually crushed or destroyed in some way. Should I try to auction some off? I would, except it would be illegal. And they're not mine to sell. And we do have really important testing that we still have to do to make sure the car is complete. A lot of people think that because the car, you see it out there and you see real examples here that the car is done. It's not done. We have some additional testing, validation kind of things to do with the vehicle. So these are still non-saleables. And then next month we start building our saleable vehicles. Those are the very first cars that we get to drive as our captured test fleet. Usually what we do is we have our captured test fleet here at the bash, and you get to see the first of the next model years. Because this is an all-new car, major car, we have a lot more to do, a lot more checks, and so the cadence is a little bit later than a typical model introduction. We said we're going to start building cars in the third quarter of this year, so that's when we'll start making cars for customers. So if you see anybody from the plant, know that they're very hard at work. There's a lot of 24/7 being done, trying to get everything ready. Okay, do you want to talk about sales?
Yeah,
Harlan always likes to talk about last year. I know you want to hear about next year, but you know us. We want to always do a little recap of the last year before we get into the new stuff.
Right. And just because you have a 2013 doesn't mean it's obsolete.
Absolutely not.
But I just wanted to say, Corvette is our favorite Chevrolet, but I just wanted to point out Chevrolet is becoming very big globally outside the U.S. 60% Chevrolet sold outside the U.S., most ever, almost 5 million cars. Now, we can talk about racing. Of course, we had the great presentation this morning with Tommy Milner and Doug Feehan and Mr. Binks. And you know, what a great year we had, winning the ALMS GT Championship for Chevrolet, Drivers' Championship, Team Championship, Manufacturers' Championship. So we're in hot defense of that, and as you know, we kicked it off with a great win. Tommy passing the Ferrari towards the end of the race at Sebring. Because of that, we got punished with a few restrictions, a weight penalty and a restrictor penalty at Long Beach. But we're still hoping to defend our championship. And it's really important. The same cars that we compete with on the racetrack are the same ones we want to compete with on the showroom. Also, last year was the first year of the Corvette Daytona prototype, and we also won the Manufacturers' Champions in that series as well. And again, we're off to a good start with 2 first place finishes so far this year. But you know, it's important, the same cars we compete with, even with all the other new competition coming out, and you know, the Corvette in the last year of the 6th generation, still the #1 selling sports car in America.
And wait for next year after the Stingray's out.
So I did want to say about the 60th anniversary. This is what 60 years of Corvettes looks like on one sheet of paper. It's kind of fun to see. And you know, for the anniversary, we have a history of doing special cars for the anniversary, and we were really proud of that. We were able to not only celebrate the 60th anniversary, but kick off the great 6th generation Corvette, send it off in a high note with the 427 convertible and the 60th anniversary package, Arctic white, blue interior. We would think this was a first in the industry. We did the stripe top to match the stripes on the car. I think we're the first ones to do that, where it was stitched right into the top. And the diamond blue leather-wrapped interior, also part of the 60th anniversary. And the 60th anniversary ZR1 actually did pace the Indy 500 last year. And you could also get the 427 convertible in any of the colors that we offered. So you didn't have to get the 60th anniversary package if you just wanted that 427 convertible. We took the LS7 engine from the Z06 and put it in the convertible for the first time. And this really was a neat car, because I think no matter what we do going forward with the Stingray, the C7, that car is always going to be a special car, just like the Barrett Jackson, the older 427 big block convertibles are always highly collectible cars. But even beyond that, it was a great sports car. It is a great sports car. The power to weight ratio beats the Porsche 911 Turbo, Ferrari California convertible, and the Audi R8 V10 Spider. So in addition to being a special convertible, it's really, among supercar convertibles, a top performer as well. One of the things too, as we're getting towards the end of the 6th generation, you know, the guys across town really worked hard on the Viper. I know they targeted the ZR1. Well, they still couldn't beat us. Both Car and Driver and Motor Trend, the Corvette ZR1 beat the all-new Viper in both of their tests at Laguna Seca. No matter how much their executives complain, we still win. So in an overall, even they kicked the car overall. Road and Track just featured a neat article on the new Road and Track format, where they put a Corvette ZR1 totally stock against the Formula One Lotus 49 Formula One car, you know, from the 60s. The cars were pretty close on the track. It's pretty remarkable. It's a pretty neat article, how far street cars have come versus the state-of-the-art F1 cars. I know a lot of people saw this movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger more for the ZR1 than the actual movie. I talked to a lot of people like that. That was definitely the star of the movie. And if you're watching Dallas, the new Dallas show features Corvettes as well. And just for the year, 2013 model year was up over 12. We did, I'm very proud, we did 2,552 427 convertibles. So that's really, we're very happy with how well that car did. It's really a special car. And most popular color, Arctic white. Like the 16th anniversary, Arctic white, #1, followed close behind by black for 2013. And a lot of the team, we were here for the kind of bittersweet moment to see the last Corvette, C6 generation Corvette 427 come off the line. And we're not going to sell it to anybody, because the engine was built by Tadge, and we don't want to subject anybody to that.
It did start. It did start.
It did start. So that's going to go in our Heritage Center as the last 6th generation. No, he did a good job. It would run. It would definitely cover the 100,000 mile warranty. No problem. And this is a neat picture too. Rick Hendrick asked to have his Corvette be the last one shipped out of the plant. So there's his car in a lonely lot being ready to go. And there it goes off into the sunset. So I know you as much as everybody likes 2013, I think you're mostly here for 2014. And again, a lot of you were at the premiere. It really was close. You know, we had 113 was the introduction. And it was really close to the 60 years introduction of the Motorama show car, the 1953 Motorama car, almost 60 years to the day was introduced. This was kind of a neat cartoon that was in the Detroit News. There was so much attention on the Corvette at Cobo Hall Detroit Auto Show, they just said now playing the Corvette and some other stuff. And we actually had a car, full-size car on the wall, not on the wall, but in Detroit. We also had that at the New York Auto Show, right when you walked in, if anybody was at the New York Auto Show. It was even before you got into the show, and then a big hallway. We had the car right on the wall. Bob Lutz told us this was the best product reveal ever, and I mean ever. It was really Hollywood meets Detroit.
And when Bob Lutz says ever, he's been in the auto industry pretty much from the beginning, so he's been to all the reveals. So 100 years worth practically.
Right. And I try not to show too many graphs and charts. You've seen a lot of engineering ones. This is kind of a marketing one, but media coverage. This was a chart of the media coverage by model. See, the top one was the Corvette, and you see everything else that was shown at the Detroit Auto Show underneath, as far as media coverage. And we have kind of a neat video that summarizes our media coverage. It's about 5 minutes.
At the 2013 Detroit Auto Show, all the buzz is around this car right here, the 2014 Corvette Stingray.
It's great to be. I wish the weather was a little better, but great to be here.
It doesn't matter. This car shines in any weather. Talk to me about what's very new about this car.
Absolutely everything. There's only 2 parts carried over from the previous Corvette.
And in just a couple of days ago, they unveiled the latest member of the Corvette family.
It's very comfortable. So it's kind of that appeal of the open road, the freedom, kind of the American dream.
Corvette fans are salivating over the first new redesign in a while. It's the 7th generation Corvette Stingray, unveiled at the big Detroit Auto Show.
Unleashed in Detroit last week, General Motors is hoping the new Stingray will put America's oldest auto nameplate back in the winner's circle. It's lower, wider, it's faster, and it's got an attitude.
And guess who's back tonight? That little red Corvette. Here it is, Chevrolet rolling out the new model today, taking us back to the same car Prince sang about, the one that took America by storm 60 years ago.
As the car was developing, you just kind of sense there's something very special about this particular Corvette. And I'm a big fan of Stingray. Big fan of Stingray. So, you know, don't treat it lightly, the fact that we added the new Stingray to this car.
Going twice, million 150, they learn to let's go. They say no, I say so, Mr. Rick Hendrick. 100, thank you very much, Rick. The greatest Corvette collection in the world.
Das Tochter Chevrolet setzt bei den Sportwagen in diesem Jahr auf einen echten Klassiker. Die Corvette in 7. Auflage, 450 PS in 4 Sekunden von 0 auf 100. Für GM soll es der Neuanfang sein.
Het is excavator in een leegstaand gebouw in Detroit.
introduction. So we're part of the whole culture, the world culture now, you know, the new Corvette Stingray. And just to keep going, we have Best in Show from Auto Week at the North American Auto Show. And you saw on the video the VIN 1. So it's Rick Hendrick bought VIN 1 for $1,050,000.
I don't know if everybody knows, but the Best in Show award was unanimously voted. And that's happened before a couple of times, but it's never happened before where no other car was even nominated.
And then the first convertible also went for $1 million. And some people are saying, well, I was surprised the convertible also went for $1 million. But I was looking at it like, well, usually the convertibles cost more than the coupe, so you had kind of a bargain, I think. And anybody watch the Super Bowl knows the most valuable player, Baltimore Ravens, Joe Flacco, and he also, not that he needs it with his new contract, but he will be getting a 2014 Corvette Stingray as recognition of his most valuable player. And of course, all the magazine covers, and people sending me pictures, you know, the magazine rack, we made the covers of all the Corvette, all the automotive magazines, obviously. And then we had the New York Auto Show, and Times Square was really dressed up, you know, Corvette Stingray, huge billboards on the buildings and everything, really, really cool. And so let me talk about the cars. You know, like Tadge was saying, unfortunately we can't have every different color in every car here, but we really were kind of strategic in how we picked out our show cars. And one of the things we really wanted to do was show the bookends of the new Corvette Stingray. And that, so for example, the torch red car, adrenaline red interior, black wheels, red brakes, is a very pure sports car, track focused, you know, performance focused, and so you can go that direction. And then the cyber gray car, Kalahari interior that we showed is really to push the Corvette in more the luxury GT direction. So it just shows you how you order the car, what colors you pick. You can really give the car a lot of different personalities in the design. And the cars we have here on display, we have the Night Race Blue convertible with the brownstone interior. That was our New York Auto Show introduction for the first convertible shown in America. And then the Laguna Blue Coupe, this is the first time we saved that one especially for the bash to show the new color. New Laguna blue color and gray interior, and it has the chrome wheels, and it also has the solid top. So the first time that car has been shown is right here at the Corvette Museum. Here's the red interior. Another thing, you know, Kirk Banion at Design and our licensing team has been working for this. You know, we really want the passion for Corvette to go for all age groups. No matter how old you are, that's what we all remember growing up, is we all wished we had a Corvette someday. So you got to start young, corrupt young minds, as we say. And another thing we did that was really cool, we teamed up with Gran Turismo. Any people play Gran Turismo? A couple people. It's really known as one of the most realistic video game simulators out there. I mean, some of the drivers use it to practice. I know Jim Merrill said he used it to learn the curves of Nürburgring before he went out there. So it's really a neat simulator. And what we did something for the first time, we released as a download the camouflaged Corvette Stingray before we even introduced it. So you could drive the camouflage version, and then later on, right after the introduction, we released the two show cars, the Torch Red and Cyber Gray. So not only you could see the cars, you could drive them in the game. And I talked to a few people here that bought the game just so they could experience the car. So if you haven't seen it, there's a video here that kind of shows just how far the graphics and the realism have come. So now we're going to talk about the real car, now that you've seen the simulated car.
Okay, yes, on to the real car. So a lot of this is stuff that we gave to the media and before we actually let them see the car. We did some long leads, so all those magazine covers that you saw there, those are long lead media. It takes them a while to get those on bookshelves or on magazines, newsstands. So we went through some of this presentation material, so I want to do that with you. So I've told people a lot of times, our basic job managing the Corvette is to figure out what kind of technologies make sense for our customers, all of you. There's lots of technology out there. Some of it makes sense for Corvette, some of it doesn't. Some of it comes from the auto industry, some of it doesn't. Some may come from racing or come from aerospace or come from elsewhere. But our test has always been, how does it make the driving experience better? The actual driving experience. Not take the driving experience away from the driver, or insulate the driver from the driving experience, but what actually makes that driving experience better. So that's a huge, important part of it. A lot of people were predicting that we'd do a V6 turbo, and how many, you guys remember me asking if you wanted a V6 in here? And you remember what the answer was? No. No, right. So we know it's a really lousy business strategy to bring out a new Corvette with worse performance than its predecessor. You might as well just keep the old car. So despite the new regulatory environment with CO2 and fuel economy and everything, so that's super important. You have to meet those requirements, but you can't go in saying we're going to let that be an excuse to take the car down in performance. It's a sports car. It's a performance car. It has to perform. So more performance, you see right at the top, improve the driving experience, and oh, by the way, it has to be more efficient as well. So the media, actually one of the first questions they asked me is, why do you even care about fuel economy? And my answer is, well, you guys tell me. I hear it all the time from customers. You know, they really appreciate the good fuel economy. For many customers, it's the most fuel efficient car they own. They like the long range. You can drive the car a really long way on a tank of gas. But if we didn't care about fuel economy, there wouldn't be a Corvette. That's just plain and simple. We have to do our part inside General Motors and inside the auto industry around the world to help elevate the efficiency of all these vehicles. So, returning of the Stingray, that was, we told the story a lot, that that was the last decision we basically made. We aspired to that a very long time ago. We thought, you know, maybe we should bring the Stingray back. Having used it since '76, I think. It would have been an easy thing to do to bring out a Stingray special edition, something like that, but we really didn't want to just use the name and dilute the brand. We wanted to do a car worthy of the Stingray brand. So that's why we waited till the end to make sure every aspect of the car was worthy of that moniker. So exterior appearance, interior appearance, the technology under the skin, the driving experience, everything really needed to build to represent that Stingray. And for a lot of people, not for you, but for a lot of people, the Stingray actually is kind of new. And they might have had some a mental image of what a Corvette was, but they're hearing what this car is and recognizing this is a Stingray is a really good strategy and is working as far as reaching out to people who maybe wouldn't have considered a Corvette before. Next slide. So this is a question we get a lot. You know, how do you do a new Corvette? You've seen the 6 generations that preceded it. How do you do a new car that looks like a new car? This is an extremely big challenge. It's a huge challenge for us on the team because we don't want to make the car look different just for difference sake. Obviously, everybody wants to see the car. It looks new, so you know that you don't have the old one, but how do you make it look different in a way that is not just superficial? So we put a huge emphasis on that, trying to figure out ways to make the car look different in ways that actually make it work better. And the best example of that is the race car, right? The race car styling really doesn't matter. Winning races is all about performance, and so every line, every feature, every function on a race car is designed to win races, to go fast, to perform well. So we really looked to the race team for strategies that would make the car work better, and oh, by the way, would end up looking different. We wanted the car to really, in the interior, that was the first thing we thought of actually when we're starting to do the new cars. How are we going to make the interior better? I know Ryan and Lucy have done one presentation. I think you have another one tomorrow. So we invite you to come to that. But really, we kind of designed the car in a way from the inside out. We sent Ryan to the track to spend time out there to appreciate what it's like to drive these cars at speed. It's a really high-stress work environment, and that interior has to work for the driver in that condition.
This is what design inspiration video we put together. It's put together that design. Generate
So you can get a sense of some of the design features in that video, but I'll take you through some more of them. I was talking about getting, using race car techniques to make the car work better and also make it look different. One of the most obvious is in the front end airflow. Instead of like we've done on the past few generations of car, where we take the whole radiator assembly and tilt it back. You take the cool air in the front and then you dump the warm air that comes out of it underneath the car. If you look at race cars, they almost universally do the opposite. This takes some engineering, this takes some real packaging challenges on a production car, but tilting the radiator forward and exiting the air out the hood takes the air up over the top of the car and helps create downforce on the front end. Very common, almost universal on race cars, almost unheard of on a street car. And then doing it in a very integrated and seamless way that looks good is a huge challenge too. So that was kind of one of the fundamental strategies around the front end of the car to get better downforce. Next slide. Another strategy we took was in the rear end of the car. The hatch is very different shape than what we've done previously. And that's all for functional reasons. That wasn't just a whim to put a quarter window in. It's all part of the integrated aerodynamics of the car. You can see the functional inlet on the quarter panel here. I think we have a slide, I don't know if it's coming up, but there's a inlet on the race car exactly with the same function in just about that same location. In fact, if you look at the race car, this is what I'm talking about here. If you look along the top of the quarter panel, you'll see a big inlet duct. That takes cool air in to cool the differential and the transmission. We decided to do the exact same thing on the Stingray. So that's what you see, those quarter vents that occur. They're slightly forward of that. You'll see the race car, this vent is actually where the hatch is today.